Dr. Costa, thank you for joining the MedTech Unboxed podcast today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Solaris Endovascular, the unmet needs in dialysis access and peripheral artery disease. And of course, I'm really passionate about stents, stent materials, stent coverings, and I know we're going to get into some of that as well. So let's kick it off here. If you could tell us a little bit about Solaris Endovascular, then we'll get into the Solaris SX and DE.
Wow. A lot of story to tell you, but in simple terms, Solaris Endovascular Inc. is a U.S. C Corp that we established with my colleague and old friend, Randy Hubble, with a lot of experience in the MedTech market, together with Cytec, which is the manufacturer of the products that we have exclusive license globally.
Okay.
Not only license for the technologies for commercial, but also license for the entire pipeline and R&D. As we're going to get into the product, you're going to see that the product has enormous plasticity in terms of multiple indications and multiple future developments in the pipeline.
Okay. So what are the unmet needs in this space that the Solaris Endovascular stent graft kind of overcomes relative to the predicates?
Yeah. As an interventional cardiologist who have pursued treatments of vascular obstructions my entire career, right? In the heart, in particular, and in the legs, in peripheral arterial disease, we remain, despite of our advances in the periphery, we are still lacking a technology that provides results that are more than 90% patency for our patients. We're talking here about peripheral arterial disease, aorta disease and its branches, and we're also talking obviously about AV fistula and AV graft for patients with dialysis. If you put all these patients together, there is enormous need in a population that exceeds 2 million individuals today and continue to grow over years. This necessity of a technology that can help them. A population at risk in particular, in our opinion, is the hemodialysis population. As you know, is an enormous group of patients being treated worldwide for end-stage kidney disease, that the lifeline for these patients is access. So if you lose access, your life is at risk. A very different scenario, maybe very similar to critical limb ischemia, which is another area that our technology will be applicable in the future. So for those patients, the burden of the disease already, the baseline disease, which is usually diabetes or end-stage renal disease, the social and economical burden of 3 times a week dialysis, closure of access sites, new surgery, these are enormous. And we have yet to develop a technology that really provide these patients at least access to treatment, right? We're talking about being able to be treated for a very chronic and deadly disease. So that's why we're investing our resources, our effort, and we're very excited that we might be ahead of the game with the transformational technology to achieve these goals.
Okay. So there's Solaris SX, and then there's DE for drug-eluting. If you can kind of get into that a little bit, the drug-eluting.
Well, the evolution of the treatment of peripheral arterial disease, as well as aorta and TIPS and AVF and AVG, evolved into covered stents, so stent grafts, we call it. So covered stents have now become, standard of care and first option line therapy, for instance, AVG grafts. It also first line therapies for aorta branching and fenestrated branch in the big AAA procedures for EVARs and TVARs and FEVARs, so different names for all the different aorta graft procedures. And a very superior indication for iliac disease and obstructive disease, as well as below the knee. We have technologies today that are covered stents for below the knee indications, as it has advances compared to non-stent technologies, as well as to bare stents without coverage. So it is an evolution in itself, a covered stent. Solaris is what we would call the next generation in covered stent technology. And the reason we call it next generation, because it uses a new, more advanced PTFE product. Electrospinning PTFE is different. It has multiple layers and it's woven. It creates a very unique mechanical property. That's why we've been investing in this more than 20 years, investigating, learning this product to help us create a stent coverage that is impermeable and has superior mechanical properties to create conformability, radial force, and other advantages over prior generations and over other technologies. So that is an advance in itself. It provides a mechanical advancement, but still it doesn't solve the biological aspects of vascular disease. So I'm a vascular biologist, and I know the environment is not friendly to external bodies. So when you put a new stent or stent covered or any technology or implantable device in the body, it reacts and it creates, intimal hyperplasia. It shrinks, and that leads to obstruction. Not in the stent. So our stent, we have more than 13,000 stents sold worldwide. Inside the coverage, inside the PTFE, it's impermeable. It doesn't allow much of growth, but outside, most of the technologies still have a 25% to 30%, depends on the technology, of edge restenosis. So those are the unmet needs that require a biological agent or another solution. So we are, our company in Brazil, the manufacturer of Solaris, has 20 years experience with drug-eluting stents.
Okay.
So very unique situation to have know-how in stent technology and know-how in drug delivery. Drug delivery is not simply delivering drug to the vessel. It's a science, it's an art. You have to think about drug load. You have to think about residence time. You have to think about first order dilution in the vessel. You have to think about vessel penetration, vessel retention. So all this knowledge that we have really refined for coronary disease with our drug-eluting, with the Cytec drug-eluting stent technology, now we transfer that knowledge combined with our mechanical and electrospin to create what we think is going to be transformation, which is the Solaris drug-eluting. For short, we call it Solaris DE.
Okay. That's interesting what you shared about PTFE. I'm used to expanded PTFE as a membrane, as a covering. That's very popular, right, in AAA and others. But you're talking about a different method that gives you some mechanical properties. And let's go through that, because electrospun PTFE is very unique, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, let me give you the historical perspective of this a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Electrospun PTFE, for us, we first encountered it about 20 years ago as a professor at Case Western Reserve University and researcher. Cytec, the company that was based here in Brazil, was looking for opportunities to further develop their engineers. They just hired 2 young engineers who became today the chief technology officer for the company after 20 years. So one of them came to Cleveland. We arranged for him to be a master's student in our macromolecular engineer. We have a very large program at Case. And we select for him manufacturing. We didn't really, at that time, didn't really care much. We wanted him to learn new methods, and we wanted him to go out of the traditional. So expanded PTFE is traditional. We said, learn something different, because we want to leapfrog the competition. When you go back and start developing new products, try to do something different. Don't
Wow.
Don't be a me too. Don't
Yeah.
follow the path.
Right.
So at that time, he did his master thesis in electrospun PTFE. So that's where our story starts.
Interesting.
He since left the company, didn't go back, stayed in the United States, found different opportunities. However, that stayed with us. At the time, there was no medical grade electrospun PTFE. So we had to wait a long time to really get our hands across on a an expanded electrospun PTFE. So at that moment, now we have a technology that's medical grade, and we have been working on this for many, many years.
Okay.
So it was very simple for us. Hey, maybe we should take this into consideration. But then we learned, as a stent company for years, we learned that this was not a simple expanded PTFE deal.
Yeah.
We have to create manufacturing processes and unique approach to be able to wrap our stents. And then we learned that electrospun PTFE has its own mechanical properties. So it really carries a lot of the mechanical characteristics of our stent. So we have to design a stent that actually is encapsulated and designed for that.
Yes.
So now you have a stent that's designed to meet the mechanical characteristics of electrospun PTFE. That's why Solaris, in my opinion, is very unique, because it has mechanical properties with radial force, for instance, that should be paradoxical with flexibility and conformability. So it has a very strong structure, yet it's very conformable and very flexible. We believe that this is a combination of the design that was made, customized to meet the standards and the characteristics of the electrospun PTFE.
Okay.
And that's why this for us is a platform that can be placed in different scenarios and in different configurations for the future.
That's interesting what you said. It's the stent is kind of designed around the covering, the unique covering technology.
Yes, you had to, because if you simply follow, the reason why expanded PTFE it's widely used, it's the ease of use, manufacturing, and you can just wrap anything with it.
Yeah.
So it has an advantage, no question. Now we could have made a decision, 15 years ago to be another one in that market. We made a different decision. Yes, it took us longer to be here with you today.
Yeah.
But the results, as we see in our patients, is worth. I think it's an important advance for the field. We're excited to be leading this market.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into some of the you're talking about the mechanical properties, conformability. Let's talk a little, and you talked about permeability. Let's talk a little bit about some of the really unique characteristics of this stent graft. And I'll let you kind of talk to this slide here about the permeability first.
Well, yeah, this is a bench test that, every stent graft company would probably be performing in-house. So you pressurize your stent graft with water. So of course, water leaks more than blood. So this test is really a bench test. It doesn't replicate human biology.
Mm-hmm.
But easily here you can see that at 180 millimeters of mercury, we couldn't get anything out of this graft. So it was really impossible. We went to 200. This is just an example, because 180 is usually the human blood pressure that tops in patients with hypertension. So on the other stents in the market, covered stents, you could see leakage. In this case, you see the bubbles there of water leaking at as little as low as 2 millimeters of mercury. So others are 20, others are 30, but no other expanded PTFE that we tested was able to prove this level of impermeability. And here we are speaking on the bench with water. So very unique controlled situation. In humans, things will be a little different. There is a vessel wall around it. But what is important to us, and what we did this, is to understand permeability of cells, permeability of proteoglycans, of materials that are thrombogenic. So we wanted to really prove that this technology would hold things behind mechanically, so it doesn't get in touch with the bloodstream.
Gotcha.
And it would support blood flow. Okay. And we are very satisfied both with the bench test and also with our clinical results. As I mentioned before, inside the PTFE covered segment of our stents, we have not seen thrombosis or restenosis. We have seen outside, we have seen other circumstances, but not here. So that's really what the difference. Now, if you ask me, can you get a impermeable on the bench? We can get impermeability with anything, right? You can take expanded PTFE and make several wraps in multiple directions and achieve that.
Yes.
But now you're having to deal with other aspects of profile, mechanical properties and other things that, so this, in engineering and mechanical devices, you're always trading off one for the other.
Yeah, in catheter development technology, I always hear that profile is king. So I can see multiple wraps to get that permeability with a membrane that's not electrospun. You lose profile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correctly.
Okay. This is interesting. Got a couple cool slides here. If we can kind of go through these, if you want to go through this one real quick, and then there's some interesting videos.
Yes, that on the left side there, you see a schematic illustration of Solaris. We don't want to get into too much details. It is a public conversation.
Yeah.
On the right side is, again, bench testing. At the tower there, as you see, is Solaris. So Solaris is this big, no, not Solaris, not the big tower. I'm sorry. The blue there is Solaris. So the little tiny, small change in length. So what this test does, it tests how much your stent shrinks or elongates, but in this case, it's shrinking as you deploy it in larger vessels.
Okay.
So it's a bench test, is a standard test, but you see that there are stents in the market today that has almost 40%. So as you're deploying a technology as a physician, and I have deployed most of these stents in my career, some of them are really tricky because you have to play safe. You have to put a little bit through distal and then wait to see what's going to happen. Depends on the configuration, because vessels are not straight; they have bends, so there is a lot of tension. And the more the tension, the less control you have. So one thing we developed was a technology that has precision. So not only the design has links that prevents it from shrinking, so from shortening during deployment, and therefore you see there is almost 0% shortening in our bench test. Others have low shortening and some have more shortening. But not only that, we also develop a delivery system, as you mentioned, that has ability to hold our stent in place and only release it when it's completely expanded. Okay. So that provides me a lot of confidence and accuracy that my stent's not going to shorten, not going to shrink as I deploy it, and it's not going to jump as I release the final end of the stent, because it's a self-expanding night noise stents. They tend to jump if you don't control that release. Gotcha. So we try to make it easier for our physicians, our surgeons, and interventional radiologists and cardiologists who are using this worldwide. Okay,
interesting. And this is great. This kink formation test as it relates to the electrospun ePTFE, right? And I can share these videos. This is really cool if you'd like me to. Product C on the right compared to the Solaris in a kink test.
Yes, this is a standard kink test. You see, you put pressure and we observe in space. The point of kinking is right there.
Yep.
And you see, when you get to that level, you have a stent that lost its configuration and is now obstructing the lumen. So it doesn't tolerate on the bench. Remember, this is talk about bench testing, standard bench testing. It creates that kink. So if you have a situation like that in the human body, this is stent, whatever the stent is, will not provide you the outcomes that you want. Okay. On the left side, the same test with the Solaris, you see that we can reach that level of compression. And if you watch the movie and look at how the stent behaves. Yeah. So on the left side, you have an electrospun PTFE Solaris technology. On the other side, you have an expanded PTFE covered stent technology. And this is a combination again. It's not just the electrospun,
Yeah.
PTFE, but a combination of that with our stent design.
Gotcha.
So this is what excites us. Like, we are solving the mechanical problems, and now we are overlaying the biology, the anti-restenotic
Yes.
biology to it.
Wow. Putting it all together. And then we'll share these last two videos. I think are really interesting. I'll play this one to show the conformability. Go ahead. That's interesting.
Yeah, this is just we playing with this. When I asked the engineers, I told them, I like these animations, I like the bench testing, but I want to see a real product in your hand do it. So this is our engineer's hand, and I said, just wrap it and unwrap it, and that's what you see. If you look at the left is more challenging because it's a shorter.
Yep.
version. I said, now do with these shorter ones. Let's see how good you are. This was truly a day that I visit first the engineering team, and then you see, not only it's impressive how it maintains, patency,
Yes.
but the most impressive to me is when you release it and you go back. So it has significant structure to withstand a lot of tortuosity in the body.
Nitinol is a beautiful material, isn't it?
It is, but you have to support it with the right structure.
Yes.
Because, as you know, nitinol can be fragile in the long term. So that's what we have done.
Excellent. Thank you so much for going through those details. It's really interesting, fascinating technology, and wanted to see if you can kind of give us an update on some of the clinical studies. I know there was the DES cover trial. Perhaps you can talk about that and just kind of give us an overview of some of the clinicals where you're at.
You start with the Solaris base platform. We have 13,000 products sold in Brazil, in Europe, and globally. We are not approved in the US. We are one of three companies with indications for AVF, AVG, and PAD in Europe.
Okay.
We have a clinical study that was conducted in Germany for PAD. We just completed 12 months follow-up. We're going to be releasing the data over the next couple of weeks. More than 90+% patency. We have a retrospective study with a large cohort of patients, of 114 patients, done for AV fistula and AV graft in Brazil. This is being published with the outstanding results. 29% treatment effect, one of the largest treatment effects that we have seen in the market, probably supporting the mechanical features and the objectives that we tested in the bench.
Okay.
We have Solaris reports from investigators all over the world, in Europe, in Brazil, for other indications. Solaris is being used for TIPS because of its impermeability. It's being used for iliac disease, what call a technique called CERAB, C-E-R-A-B. There are a few publications and a clinical experience with that, with the iliacs being treated with Solaris in conjunction with the aorta distal graft. And today we are studying Solaris drug-eluting. So not only we're doing a first in human study, but we are leapfrogging and we're doing a feasibility phase 2 design study in preparation for the FDA. Okay. So we have more than 50 patients already enrolled in less than 6 months. So there's a lot of excitement. We are comparing Solaris drug-eluting versus PTA, which is the standard of care for AVG. 40 patients and 40 patients, and then another 40 patients are for AV grafts, so prosthetic AV grafts.
Okay.
So we're going to have a total of 120, and then we have a third cohort for the AV graft. So it's going to be Solaris drug-eluting, current dose, Solaris drug-eluting, quadruple dose, and PTA. Because we first start with the baseline drug, composition that we know. We have used it many times.
Yes.
But we are aiming also to test a dose finding with our phase 2 trial. So this is probably going to be more information towards the end of the year with our interim analysis of this first, and then with the quadruple dose in 2026.
Okay.
We have a lot of opportunity to even further increase the dose or decrease the dose. We are doing animal work. We have done preliminary work with the base dose. We are doing a dosing finding study starting next month in New York, testing the quadruple dose for AVFs and AV graft models. On the Solaris, we had our meeting with the FDA to approve our base platform. So we're going to start an IDE clinical trial, hopefully towards the end of this year. That IDE will have similar design, AV graft, single arm, because it's a standard of care, Solaris treatment, about 120 patients. And on the AVF and the fistula graft, we will have a randomization to standard of care, which is balloon angioplasty versus Solaris. Our path in that, we are following the path that others have tested their technology. We have a lot of experience, so we have a low risk value proposition here. We want to have the base product approved and then overlay it and follow it with the Solaris D. So we expected a faster, not necessarily fast track, but a fast process of two products being approved sequentially and in combination, because the base tests for both are the same, because the base platform is the same. So that's our strategy for the FDA. We expect to be very successful. We're very connected with all the clinical centers. We already have the CRO lined up. We just need the approval from the IDE, from the FDA, which we'll be submitting. We are finishing some final testing by the fall. This should be in the hands of the FDA for final approval. We had a very positive pre-sub meeting just a month ago. Very excited that our path hopefully will be clear by the fourth quarter of this year.
Wow, you have a lot going on.
But that's a lot going on, but an outstanding team with 20 years experience in manufacturing, commercialization, and regulatory team that we put together with Randy Hubble.
Yep.
We know the space well. I'm part of that. 20 years in academic medicine in the US taught me a lot. We have great partners for CRO, and we're very committed to our goals, which is priority number 1, 2, and 3 is US market. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to following the progress of all these different studies, and it's very exciting. I know it's a lot of work too, but I'm really looking forward to keeping up with it. So thank you so much for joining to tell us about, and the audience about Solaris and the technologies and the direction you're heading here. This is really exciting.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and share our story.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.